today we're really, really excited to talk to you about our next guest, JoAnn Tremblay. She is a wise woman. She has multiple talents. She's also had really severe health issues and, in fact, has an ostomy bag. But she's turned that into a positive and creative way of handling everything. And she's even written this, The Adventures of Buttercup and Elliot, for children who may experience having an ostomy bag. And she's turned her health issues into things that are so positive and meaningful that they've reached out to a very large sector of people that have had this experience. And they've been she's helped a lot of people. JoAnn has really helped a lot of people.
Yes, I understand, like, she's the lifestyle expert for Ostomy Canada, but I am very much looking forward to this interview because even though we've only had the one interaction, JoAnn and I, when we were organizing the interview, I immediately felt her generosity of spirit and contributions to the community, and I'm looking forward to hearing her story of all the things she's overcome and how she has found a way to get in touch with her creativity despite all the challenges that she's met in life.
Let's meet JoAnn.
Because I had to rebuild myself. I had to rebuild my life. And now it was going to be completely different than what I expected. We were getting ready to retire. We were ready for all of that. And we were going to be doing a lot of traveling. And we were going to live in Paris for a while because I wanted to go to Cordon Bleu because I love cooking. Yeah. Very creative. And it was gone. It was completely gone. So I had to reinvent my life and I had to reinvent myself. And so all the tools in my toolbox, and here's the book, the self-coaching toolbox, I sat down and I started writing this during that time because I had to look at my tools. I had to, what are ones that are going to work now? What are ones that aren't going to work anymore? And so that was part of my grieving, was to look at coaching myself and saying, you know what, I want everybody else to at least the 6 basic tools to be able to add to their toolbox. And so that's what I did. I wrote this book, and that was the beginning of my next career, and that was being an author. Now, the journey was quite a journey. He died in 2004. In 2008, I started to become very ill, extremely ill. And unfortunately, the medical doctors and modern medical science couldn't seem to pinpoint. They could give me medication for the symptoms, but not the source. And to make a very long story short, I did get remarried during that time to a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. And I thought that now my life was, the illness hit. And again, to make a long story short, and it's in this book called Better with a Bag Than in a Bag. Before, and what a bag means is an ostomy, we had to say our goodbyes when they were wheeling me into for surgery. They did not think that I was going to survive. And so I was on the brink, as the book says, from the brink of death to recovery through humor and inspiration. I lost my ability to walk for that period of time. I don't know if you know what an ostomy is, but certainly in my case, I had a colostomy. They had to amputate the large colon all the way down and close off the other end, and now I have an ostomy that I affectionately call Percy. And I didn't come up with that name, my husband did. And in Old English, it means to pierce the hedge. And I thought, what a brilliant name. But Percy really, I didn't have to live with Percy for the rest of my life. Percy sustains my life. But it's a good code name because at times I may have to excuse myself and I may be longer. And so anybody knows me knows that, Percy needs some attention. So anyway, so I wrote that this book, and it really is the journey of the illness and the frustrations that I experienced. But life goes on, and life always goes on. And so I eventually was able to start walking again, adapting to my whole new way, and I wrote this book, Another Bag, Another Day. And so, journeying through life again. And this is creating a new lease on life in a new world. Because it's always a new world. We wake up every morning, it's a new world.
That's true.
You know? And so that continues the journey. Again, they are inspirational. You don't have to have an ostomy. It's life and all about life.
I bet you with the pandemic that people are still struggling with some of those messages, both in the self-coaching as well as understanding, how to creating a new lease on life.
Yes.
Are particularly valuable to everybody, not just those with an ostomy. But tell our audience about, because you do all the drawings and pictures.
Yes, my photography or my artistry. Yes, well, this is Percy. Hello, everyone. And I call this Percy a self-portrait. Because Percy and I are part of one another. And an ostomy has what is called a stoma. That's actually a stoma. And the stoma is part of the intestine that is now outside of your body. And we have equipment, a flange, and we have a pouch, otherwise known as a bag. And so that's actually Percy, my stoma. And this is the flange, the equipment around it. And the stoma is often referred to as a rosebud. Because that's what it kind of your intestine. It's actually your insides are as beautiful as your outsides. Very important lesson in life. And even the physical part of your insides are quite amazing. So rosebud, and it's kind of interesting because one of my artist group, we were asked to bring in some of our paintings. So I brought in the actual painting of Percy, and so I was explaining to everyone that this isn't part of the intestine and so on and so forth, and people's faces, really interesting changes in their faces. There was a lot they were thinking about, and some were very uncomfortable with this idea. So then I said, but as a rosebud, so conversely, okay, we have Percy, we have that, but you know what? Things are always coming up roses as well, and it was amazing the physical change in people's faces. As soon as the same image became a rose, not a stoma.
It changes everything.
Changed everything for people.
And
that was fascinating.
It was, and it kind of reflects, your philosophy about how you look at a situation as well, in terms of finding the lesson, the tool, the inspiration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was part of what was behind this Percy self-portrait.
Yeah.
I did write a third book, but this is Bags Around the World, Thoughts and Words Offering Solace and Inspiration to Ignite the Human Spirit. And I have a blog called The Ostomy Factor. And people had said, you really should put those together in a book so that someone can have it by their bedside or whatever, and they're short blogs. Me, Percy, and the Tooth Fairy. That's an interesting one. So I did, and I have people who follow me from all over the world. An ostomy doesn't care what age you are, absolutely not, what gender you are, or where you live on planet Earth.
Right.
And so a lot of people follow me from all over the world. And so that's why I called it Bags Around the World and our beautiful planet. And this is actually an ostomy pouch, just so you know. That's the pouch that we wear. And so it's about the world and all of us. And then eventually, what I ended up doing is they are pediatric ostomates, children born.
You must have been the first to really start offering information in this space.
Well, I am the lifestyle expert on the Ostomy Society of Canada, our medical committee, and I get a lot of questions, and I was getting questions from parents, and there were very few resources out there for children to relate to, somebody
Both
with an
those with
ostomy bag.
ostomies and those without.
Exactly. So, because I love photography and I love puppetry, this is Buttercup, and she's an ostomy. She has an ostomy, and so this is her story about how her ostomy came about, which will help little children and their grandparents and that. Buttercup is a mouse with an ostomy. This book is about the many things young children, ostinate and non-ostinate, can do in a day to learn, have fun, and be strong. Together, the three friends, Buttercup, Elliot, and Squigs, know that with or without an ostomy, they can do anything they set their minds to.
That's great.
Yeah.
So these books that share your journey and your thoughts and your skills on ostomy, it doesn't stop here. I understand that your journey as an author went even further after this collection of books.
Well, yes. The pandemic has struck. It's been a very challenging time. And I have 8 grandchildren, ages 19 all the way to 3 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and everything in between. And our grandchildren weren't able to see them. They were unable to go to school. They were unable to, and there was a lot of no, and it's been very scary for all of us. And talk about challenges and having to, walk ourselves through this. So I decided, on being unable to go out or do anything, that I would write a book for my grandchildren, and each one of them would be a character in the book. And so it's the Sims gang, although I made them siblings.
Yeah.
The Sims gang. And I wrote the book for them. It just so happened, and I illustrated the book as well. So that's, for example, one of the illustrations in terms of my artwork. And what I did was then send it to my editor, because if you're an author, you think you know the language until you give it to your editor. Apparently I have a common disability. Anyway, that's our little joke, my editor and I. And after she edited it, she said, no, this is something for a wider audience. This is really an important thing. And so I said, okay. So I actually wrote a second book, The Sims Gang, and this one they're on another adventure. So it's fantasy adventure. And so this one is Cave of the Golden Heart. This one is Forest of Shadows. And I'm actually writing the third book. I should be publishing it. I made it a trilogy, I believe October. And
Of this year.
Yeah, this year. Yeah, of this year. And these two come out in the same year. And then, I'm sorry, the second book and the third one will be 2021. This came out in 2020, Cave of the Golden Heart. And so the third book, which is Treasure of Rock-Faced Bluff.
Wow.
And my mentor for them actually was my grandson, Evan. And I said, Evan, I've never written, first of all, nonfiction, but I've never written for children. That's a whole different world. And so he became my mentor for the books. And he suggested, he's an avid reader, suggested some of the books that he reads that he finds interesting. We had little meetings together. He became, like I say, not only my mentor, but my consultant. And his bottom line was, Grandma Jo, he said, as long as there's adventure and magic, the kids will love it. So that's when I just released myself and relaxed and began to go with the flow of the Sims Gang. Something fun has happened with it, though. Long story short again. The Museum of Manitoba, Dr. Sawowski, I believe I may pronounce his name wrong, gave me an email, heard about this. They're putting together artifacts from time of COVID and COVID-19, and he's now taken these 2 books, and they're part of the artifacts. So they've now made Little Canadian History, and they're awaiting the 3rd book to come out to finish the trilogy, and it'll be part of the museum
The
in
display
Manitoba.
about some of the wonderful things that have come out.
Well, have come out, or what we as human beings have been doing during this time.
Right.
You know, what were we doing? Did we read more? Did we go out for walks more? You know, for a period of time they didn't even want us in a park, and at least sitting in a park. So we do a lot of walking. We all found different things to do in order to survive this. You know?
And we gotten a little bit more in touch about what's important to us as well.
Wow, have we ever?
Yeah.
Have we ever?
So I think we need to share with the audience where they can find some of these wonderful resources. Like, for example, I believe some of these are available through Amazon.
Actually, they're all available through Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Nobles. I found out just recently that one of the Sips gang, Cave of the Golden Heart, Walmart is now carrying it.
Wonderful.
And, yeah, I know. And so yeah, that's where people can buy online. I
Right,
think,
right.
Is the easiest.
So I think, you know, the self-coaching toolbox sounds like a wonderful resource for everyone. I think I'll need that one myself. You know, great books for the grandchildren, Canadian stories. I think this book, you know, because like I said, I think this is just so important, this book, not only for those children living with an ostomy, but those who don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because it normalizes, it makes it less unknown, and therefore the fear goes away. And of course your artwork and your stories about your own personal experience and your blog. Wow, what a contribution you are leaving to the world here.
Well, I see it as sharing.
Right.
Everyone you meet has a story to tell.
Right.
Everyone you meet has a story to tell. And if you truly listen to their stories, again, as we were talking about earlier, we add tools to our toolbox. So that is just me sharing, and the times when I was really weak in them, and I didn't know where to turn, and you know, just kept on going forward, sometimes standing still, sometimes walking like a crab sideways, not even going forward,
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
kind of thing. But these are what they are. It's just about sharing and opening myself to the people who read them and give me their feedback. They have a lot to share with me, and they have their stories.
Yeah.
And so we all really learn from one another.
Well, JoAnn, I think I still have more to learn from you, so I think we're going to have you back and talk some more about some of your other life journey experiences and some of the ideas and messages, because you are such an inspiring individual to me, and I too feel very energetic after talking with you. So thank you for your time and sharing your stories with us today.
Well, thank you for this wonderful opportunity.